Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Academy. I'm Yashasvi Chintada. So let us continue with science and technology questions. Last class we have seen till 15th question. So let us continue with the 16th question. So in the context of the environment, carbon leakage is best described as. Okay. So let us look at what is carbon leakage. Okay. So carbon leakage refers to the situation that may occur if for reasons of cost related to climate policies. So businesses were to transfer production to other countries with laxer emission constraints. So this could lead to increase in their total emissions. So basically, so if you have suppose a developed country, say Germany or Switzerland, etc., they have a factory. They have very tough regulations. Okay, you have to have pollution filters, emission filters, and say sewage treatment plants, etc. So instead of saving this cost, say if they shift the production to say China. Okay, in China, you may not have so much strict regulations. So that product which costs 100 rupees in Switzerland may cost only 50 rupees in China. So if the businesses were to transfer production to other countries with laxer emission constraints, this could increase to in their total emissions. So in a way, they're trying to what you say reduce the production cost, but the emissions are still instead of producing here, you are producing elsewhere, and here you would have produced some emissions, but there in China, the same product they are producing more emissions. Okay, so that is called as carbon leakage. Basically, shifting your production. So is if you take an example of two countries A and B. Okay, country A has very strict emission policy. Okay, and country B does not have. So you shift from A to B, and country B has less stringent policies. So that means the country A was though able to cut emissions, but now country B will increase the emissions due to transfer of greenhouse gas intensive industries from A to B. So the result is more greenhouse gases emissions and more industrial jobs. Okay, so carbon pricing. What is carbon pricing? It's an instrument that captures the external costs of greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, the external costs of greenhouse gas emissions, the cost of emissions that the public pays for, such as damage to crops, healthcare, heat waves, etc. So even now we are facing a heat wave situation in India, right? Loss of property from flooding, sea level, etc. So this is all called as carbon pricing. So because of this greenhouse gases, the price we pay. So carbon tax. A carbon tax is a fee imposed on businesses and individuals that work as a sort of pollution tax. The tax is a fee imposed on companies that burn carbon-based fuels, including coal, oil, gasoline, and natural gas. Okay, in India also, we have seen more than 60 to 70% of the production is coming from what is this fossil fuels. Okay, so carbon trading is buying and selling of credits. We've already seen this. Okay, carbon trade agreements allow for the sale of credits to emit carbon dioxide between nations as part of international agreement. So this carbon trading comes under Kyoto Protocol. We have already seen multiple times. So zero carbon law by New Zealand, Zero Carbon Act puts in place targets to reduce all greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide have to be reduced to net zero by 2050. So in India, we have net zero by 2070. Remember that, very important. Okay, in India, we have net zero by 2070. That's very important. In New Zealand, they have by 2050. So remember these things: carbon trading, carbon tax, and carbon pricing, carbon leakage, etc. So let us see what is the question. So in the context of environment, carbon leakage is best described as an increase in emissions outside a region as a direct result of the policy measures to cap emissions in the region. Okay, so in order to cap the emissions in the region, you are sending your production out, and that is actually increasing the emissions, because if you would have done the production in your country, say 100 100 units of emissions would have come, but now that you have sent it to some other country, they are producing 1000 emissions. Okay, okay, so it is an increase in emissions outside a region as a direct result of the policy measures to cap emissions in the region. So that is what is best described as carbon leakage. Now consider the following statements with respect to Jaivik Pahal campaign. So what is the Jaivik Pahal campaign? So I just now mentioned, right? India net zero target is by 2070. So by 2070, we intend to achieve net zero. So this can be done by using, say, complete renewable energy sources or biofuels, etc. So completely reducing dependence on coal, petrol, and etc. Okay, going for we have several things called EV 30 by 30. That means by 2030 we will have 30% of the vehicles will be electric vehicles. Okay, that is called EV 30 by 30. Okay, so several such things are there in the news. All those are very important. So the transition towards clean energy and multiple decarbonization initiatives will optimize the use of country's energy mix and reduce the proportion of fossil fuels. Since Indian automotive industry has always been a key indicator of nation's economic growth, okay, remember this, Indian automotive industry is a key indicator of the nation's economic growth. It contributes to approximately 6.5% of India's overall GDP, 40% of manufacturing GDP, and about 30 million direct and indirect jobs. So remember this, Indian automotive industry is very important, 6.5% of domestic GDP and 40% of manufacturing. That means in all the manufacturing, the automobile industry is catering to around 40%, which is very huge. So, any changes in the industry is very important. So, a range of initiatives have been introduced by the Indian automobile industry under the aegis of the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers (SIAM). So, one of the initiatives is for biofuels. So, we have already seen the national biofuel policy stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Okay. So stage one is made from leftover rice and all these starch products. Okay, and stage two is made from grasses, woods, etc. Okay, stage three is made from some form of algae. Okay, stage four is made from genetically modified crops. That is the national biofuel policy. Very important. Try to remember. So this campaign called Javik Pahal, the industry promotes biofuels produced from renewable biological materials. Alternative fuels can play a pivotal role in powering vehicles, so reducing reliance on petroleum imports. So around 90% of our petroleum is being imported, right? So trying to reduce this petroleum import is also very important, lowering greenhouse gas emission and improving farmers' income also, because these biological materials are usually related to the byproducts of agriculture. Okay, molasses, okay, grass, etc., etc. So Javik Pahal is related to the biofuels. So we also seen what are various stages of biofuels. Okay, one, two, three, four. So consider the following statements with respect to the Javik Pahal campaign. It is the campaign launched by the automobile industry, which is true. It promotes biofuels produced from renewable biological methods. So both one and two are true. So 17 answer is C. So let us go to the 18th question. So in the context of space science, consider the following statements regarding neutrinos. Okay. So let us quickly look at neutrinos. So this may not be too much important, but let us go through everything. Okay. So China is to build the world's largest ghost particle neutrino or neutrino detector. Neutrinos are a type of electron, but like neutrons. Okay. So neutrinos were long believed to be massless until scientists found evidence that they do have a very small mass. Okay, neutrinos' weak charge and almost non-existent mass have made them notoriously difficult to observe. Okay, so they can only be seen when they interact with other particles. So all this is fine. And sometimes they interact with water molecules, which is why China is building the Ghost Molecule Telescope underwater. Okay, so scientists have observed ghost particles in fleeting instances, etc., etc. All this fine. So let us see. So in the context of space science, consider the following statements regarding neutrinos. They never interact with any substance. Okay, they are nearly massless. They do not have any charge. So you can say um, so. Neutrinos are a type of electron, but like neutrons, they do not have any charge. So this is correct. They do not have any charge is correct. and sometimes they interact with water molecules. So they never interact with any substance is also wrong. Okay, and they are nearly massless. Okay, that they do have a very small mass, which means nearly massless. So only two are correct. Okay, uh, this two and three are correct. Okay, so Ramsar convention is very important. So let us quickly look at Ramsar convention. So the convention on wetlands of international importance is regarding Ramsar Convention. Okay, Ramsar is in Iran. Okay, so and Ramsar Convention is first thing that has to come to your mind is wetlands. So, for example, Harike wetlands and all this Kolleru Lake, etc., etc. All these things. Harike wetlands is in Punjab. Okay, so let us look at it. Okay, the Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, which is the Ramsar Convention, was adopted in 1971 and entered into force in 1975. Okay, and this Ramsar is in Iran. It's a legally binding international intergovernmental framework. Legally binding. This is very important because see Montreal Protocol and all they are not legally binding. Try to observe the difference. This is legally binding instrument embodying the commitment of its member countries to maintain an ecological character of the wetlands. So recently also Lake Chilka, etc. Okay, they have been put in a certain watch list. Okay, because a lot of degradation. Recently, they have been removed from that watch list. That means they have been sufficiently, what you say, retained or replenished. So these wetlands are also very important for us because a lot of migratory birds, etc., come to these wetlands. Okay. So the convention's mission is conservation and wise use of all wetlands through local and national actions and international cooperation. So basically, conservation of wetlands. So what are wetlands under Ramsar Convention? Wetlands are areas where water is the primary factor controlling the environment. Okay, water is the primary factor. That means there is land here and there, but mostly water will be there. And associated plant and animal life. Okay, lot of plants and animals will be there in that particular region. They occur where the water table is at or near the surface of the land. Okay, so there is land and there is water, again land, water, so full of land and water, then that is called wetland. And where the land is covered by water. Ramsar Convention takes broad approach in determining wetlands. So wetlands are defined as areas of marsh, okay, fen, peatland or water, natural or artificial, permanent or temporary, with water that is static or flowing. So it can be pond or flowing river also, fresh, brackish, salt, okay, like the mangroves, including areas of marine water, the depth at which low tide does not exceed 6 meters. That means in the low tide, if the height is less than 6 meters, only then it will be considered as a wetland. If it is more than 6 meters, then it becomes the ocean, right? It becomes part of the sea. This definition includes lotic water bodies such as rivers and streams. Okay, so we saw static or flowing, right? So even rivers and streams come under wetlands if they meet specific criteria. For example, they must be important water bird habitats, representative examples of particular types of wetland systems, or ecologically important. Okay, so lotic water bodies. Lotic water bodies are water bodies that have a current or flow of water, such as rivers, streams, and creeks. They are characterized by high dissolved oxygen content and ability to transport sediment and nutrients. They support variety of aquatic and riparian organisms, that is streamside organisms like fish, insect, plants. Okay, that is lotic water body. Now what is lentic? Lentic water bodies are water bodies that do not have a current or flow of water such as ponds, lakes, marshes. So they are characterized by low oxygen and the tendency to stratify, form layers due to differences in temperature. Lentic water bodies support variety of aquatic and emergent water-loving plants as well as amphibians, reptiles, and waterfowl. So lentic is stagnant, lotic is flowing. Five major wetland types that are generally recognized. Okay. So marine means coastal wetlands, including coastal lagoons, rocky shores, coastal reefs. Okay, like the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and we have in Gujarat, okay, we have Andaman and Nicobar, we have coral reefs and coastal wetlands like Kolleru Lake, Chilka Lake, okay, Lake Pulicat, etc. Coastal lagoons, rocky shores, estuarine, including deltas, tidal marshes, and mangrove swamps. Okay, here we have in East Godavari several where Godavari merges into what you say Antravedi. Okay, there we have a lot of estuaries. So where basically where the river water is mixing with the sea water. So fresh water is mixing with salt water. It forms a estuary. And the lacustrine, wetlands associated with lakes. Riverine, wetlands along rivers and streams. Okay. So palustrine means marshes, swamps, and bogs. Okay. That means very damp, loose soil mixed with water, etc. Very marshlands. You see in Bihar region, Odisha region, a lot of when the Ganga comes up, when the Ganga goes into the what you say, you have this Kadar Bangar, okay, old alluvial soil, new alluvial soil, and all that, right? Kadar is new alluvial, Kadar, Bangar, and you have Babbar and Terai region. So this Terai region is where water comes out from the ground. That's why there are marshes, marshy land, where a lot of mosquitoes and all these things will have. That is why in Bihar and Odisha region, you have a lot of problem of malaria, dengue, chikungunya, this what is the this swollen leg, elephantiasis, all these things. Okay, so those are marshes. So Ramsar wetlands in India in the 75th year of independence, number of Ramsar sites is 75. So try to remember 75, 75. Area, try to remember if you can. Okay, 13 lakh hectares. Recent addition, 11 more wetlands have been added in 2022. So among the new 11 sites, 4 are in Tamil Nadu, which is Chitrangudi Bird Sanctuary, Suchindram Terur Wetland Complex, Vaduvur Bird Sanctuary, Kanjirankulam Bird Sanctuary. So try to remember all these things because this is current. Okay, and Ramsar wetland sites are very important. So three in Odisha, Tampara Lake, Hirakud Reservoir, and Ansupa Lake. Two in Jammu and Kashmir, Haigam Wetland and Shalbag Wetland. One each in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Yashwant Sagar in Madhya Pradesh, Thane Creek in Maharashtra. So all these are very important. 11 new sites, 4 in Tamil Nadu, Odisha, 2, 3 in Odisha, 2 in Jammu and Kashmir, 1 each in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra. Already 75 are there and 11 more are added. Currently, India with 75 has the largest network of Ramsar wetlands in Asia, surpassing China. Okay. So, consider the following statements regarding the Ramsar Convention of 1971. It is a legally binding intergovernmental treaty, okay, legally binding, which is true, that provides framework for conservation of wetlands. Okay, low-tech water bodies are not covered under Ramsar Convention, which is wrong. Okay, both low-tech and lentic are covered. Low-tech means where there is flow of water. Lentic is where it is stagnant. India has the largest network of Ramsar wetlands in Asia. Okay, in Asia, surpassing China. So this is true. So only two are okay. Two is wrong. One and three are correct. So how many are correct? Only two. So 19 will be B. Okay, 19 is B. So let us look at the 20th question. So consider the following statements. Okay, let us look at the e-waste conventions. So e-waste or electronic waste, e-scrap and end-of-life electronics are terms often used to describe electronics that are nearing the end of their life or discarded or donated to a recycler. UN defines e-waste as any discarded products with a battery or plug and features toxic and hazardous substances such as mercury. Okay. So e-waste is it should have this mercury battery or plug that can pose a risk to environment and humans. The objective of Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal is to protect human health and environment against the adverse effects of hazardous e-waste. Okay. So because of toxic materials such as mercury. So basically, this Basel Convention, you have to remember what it is. Okay. If we say Minamata Convention, it is regarding mercury levels in water. Okay. So similarly, there are what you say. There is one convention for persistent organic pollutants. Okay, and the Convention on Biological Diversity, all these things you have to remember. So from that point of view, Basel Convention already it will come in banking reforms also. Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. Basel is a town in Switzerland. So Basel 1, 2, 3 norms, those are related to banking, and this Basel Convention regarding control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and the disposal. Okay, that you have to remember. Okay, so in addition, transboundary movement of hazardous and other waste, including e-waste ending up in dumps, are deemed to be illegal traffic under this Basel Convention. So, what is e-waste? It contains mercury or batteries, etc. India is the third largest electronic waste generator in the world after China and the USA. So, remember this: China, USA, third comes India, and these countries together contribute to 38% of the total 53 million tons of e-waste generated. Okay, now let us look at the question. E-waste is characterized as hazardous waste under the Basel Convention of 1989. So, when is this Basel Convention? So, it is not given anywhere, but statement 1 is correct. So, remember this. So, e-waste is categorized as hazardous waste under Basel Convention 1981. That is correct. India is the world's largest e-waste producer as per the Global E-Waste Monitor 2020. So, this is wrong, right? India is the third largest e-waste producer. First comes China, then comes the US. So, the answer is A, which is 1 only. So, that is, this is correct. Basel Convention 1989 categorizes e-waste as hazardous to humans and environment. Okay, and this is not largest. India is the third largest after China and US. Okay, we'll continue with 5 more questions in the next class. Thank you.